Great news, friends, because today we have one of those videos you all love so much. Today, I'm actually going to show you an opening that's incredibly simple and easy to play, really easy to play, with the black pieces. Okay? It's not as common as with the white pieces, and on top of that, it gives us amazing results, especially because opponents usually don't know how to respond to it. It's an opening we can use whenever someone plays the king's pawn opening against us. That means you'll be able to use it in a wide variety of different types of your games. Now, I'm sure that many of you watching this right now are probably wondering why I'm using this kind of regular board today instead of something more high-tech, and you're likely curious about the reason behind it, right? Let's say with a virtual board here altogether, and that's because I'm using a digital board, okay? It's a physical board, but electronic. It's the ChessNet Pro. At the end of the video, for those who are interested, I'll just tell you a little more about this board. Not interested? No worries, because we're going straight to the opening. We're going to start by playing a somewhat controversial defense, which is the Scandinavian defense, d5. This defense is widely recognized and famously known among top professional chess players for being considered slightly less robust than the others. Let me explain. The best players in the world have used it more than once, okay? However, it's said that if you're a grandmaster and play perfectly with the white pieces, then you'll get better results than with the black pieces. But don't worry, because the strategy I'm bringing you today isn't meant for playing against the best in the world. It's for playing against most people, and they make the mistakes I'm about to tell you about. The best move for the white pieces here, without a doubt, is to accept this pawn exchange, because if they don't, we're immediately going to end up with a better position ourselves. If, for example, they play any other move, we'll capture the pawn ourselves, and then, yes, we'll simply develop our pieces normally, applying the logic I'm about to explain, and you'll end up with a really great game. So what happens when they capture this pawn? It's very simple. We're going to recapture with the queen, all right? We've simply made a pawn exchange. All right, you were asking me, chess teacher, why is this opening or defense considered just a bit inferior? Well, it's simply because now the white pieces can attack the queen while developing a piece. That's all. But the thing is, our plan was already to move the queen. Where are we going to move her? Remember this because it's important. We're always going to move the queen to this square right here, the a5 square. It's vitally important. First of all, on this square, she's very safe. The only way to attack her is by first moving the b pawn and then moving the bishop, all right? That would be the only way to attack her, right? Because after that, we could just move the knight and that's it. However, for that to happen, they're going to have to make several moves. I'm going to show you what to do, whether they do it or not. First of all, I'll tell you which pieces you need to develop and roughly in what order, so you'll see it's super clear. Don't worry, because if it's not clear the first time, you can watch the video as many times as you need. We're going to try to develop both knights and this bishop. Make sure to remember, okay? Both knights and this bishop. Where are we going to place them and in what order? Well, their development positions will be this knight here and this knight here, both knights toward the center. And we also want to develop this bishop here. If you see red dots, it's because the board is really smart and tells me, hey, it's not black's turn to move. Put them back in their position. Yes, I'm just explaining it to you, okay? Is that clear to you? These two knights to the center and this bishop on this square here. So in what order are we going to use them? Well, here, if for example they develop this knight, which is the most normal thing in the world to develop a knight, we'll take the opportunity to develop the bishop exactly to the square we wanted because now we create a slightly annoying pin, okay? If they still haven't developed this knight, then primarily we're going to develop the knight to f6, and afterwards, as the last step, the knight to c6. That will be the last one. Why? Because if we develop it too quickly, they might try to come after our queen with some slightly annoying plans. But if you do it the way I'm telling you, don't worry, it'll be very simple. Since this pin usually bothers them a lot, what they often do is place the bishop between the knight and the queen. That makes a lot of sense. Don't tell me you haven't done this in your own games. As you can see, it's really simple, right? What are we going to debug? The knights. Which one first? This one right here. It's that easy. It really is that easy. All right, a completely normal move here could be castling. It really doesn't matter much what our opponent does because we're pretty much always going to do the same thing. And even if they don't do exactly what we planned, our play is going to be perfect. We're not down a pawn, not down a piece. We're in perfect shape, right? What do we still need to do? Develop this knight. Very good. Why do we want to delay developing this bishop? Because our plan is to castle long. Once we castle long, look where this rook ends up, on a semi-open file that can bring us a lot of success in some variations, as you'll see next. So we'll have an extremely useful position. Also, this queen can move to the other side of the board, as you can see, crossing the fifth diagonal. Sorry, the fifth rank. The game can continue in many ways, but there's one move that's usually really annoying, and it's this one right here, right? When they try to drive out this bishop, here, a lot of you might say, well, what I'm gonna do is move my bishop back. Maybe I'll pull it back to here, right? But actually, there's no need to move the bishop back. This trap I'm about to show you has helped me win a ton of games. It's a kind of fishing pole trap. It's similar, it's not exactly the same, because the fishing pole trap happens in the Ruy Lopez opening. Still, it's similar and just as effective. Because, look, at this point, if they don't capture the bishop, nothing happens at all, since their move h3 was pointless. You see? They wanted to attack our bishop, but if they don't take it, it was all for nothing, right? But what happens, chess teacher, if they do take the bishop? If they fall for the trap and grab the free piece? Well then, all you have to do is recapture this pawn and you've won the game. And I'll explain why, because it's really simple. We attack the knight. Where can this knight go? Alright, can this knight jump here? No, because it's defended and would be lost, just like these two squares, since the fifth rank is defended by the queen. If it comes here, the rook captures it too. The only option is to place the knight on h2. As you can see, there's absolutely no other way to proceed. And then we can then quite simply move the queen along the fifth rank to the other file, taking advantage of the fact that the rook and queen are working together in tandem to attack the knight and threaten checkmate on the very next move. Very good. So how can white avoid checkmate? Hint, they can't. But how can they try to avoid it? It's very simple. The only way is to try to push the pawn forward. For Lud, to give the king an escape route? It's as simple as advancing our pawn and closing off the escape. No matter what they do, we're going to checkmate on the next move. If they make any move, we'll capture the knight, and if they move the knight back, we'll deliver mate at the very end. So my question is, what happens if at this point, let's set this back to how it was, instead of playing f3, they play f4? It looks the same, but it's not. We can't push this pawn because if we do, bam, they capture our queen. So we have to change our plan, but don't worry, it's simple too. All we have to do is the following. First, we capture the knight with check. The king has to run away, right? So now what? Well, now it's also very simple. We're not going to push the pawn because the king would escape. Instead, what we'll do is capture this pawn with check, okay? And this is very, very, very intuitive because we're going to checkmate in 2 or 3 moves. Very simple. If the king goes back, then we could finish in several ways, but nobody comes over here, because if they do, they're walking right into the lion's den. It'd be exactly the same. I'll explain it to you now. If the king comes this way, all we have to do is give this check. They block, right? And then we bring in the rook. What do they have to do? Well, the game is pretty much over for them, right? They can hardly move. They're in a really tough spot. When they defend over here, we can capture in several ways. Bring in the knights, and this will be more than one. But what if, chess teacher, you say it's really easy, but I'm not a mind reader? What happens if the king comes this way? It's even simpler. We're not going to check along this diagonal because they'd escape, but along this diagonal instead. Check. See how the king can't go anywhere, either because the queen or the rook is covering it? So the only thing they can do is block. And then we simply put pressure on the pinned piece. A pinned piece is one that can't move, so we attack it with the pawn, and that piece is gonna be lost. And not only that, but we're practically gonna end up delivering checkmate. They have to come to defend the rook, and now there's a really beautiful way to finish winning the game, which is this. Sacrificing the rook on h1, check, forcing them to take it, and now checkmate comes from the queen. We give check, and now when the king moves aside, we simply deliver mate, since there's no way out. Check this out, because you're gonna love it. Remember, the first thing we have to do is play the Scandinavian defense. When they capture our pawn, all we have to do is recapture it. And above all, when they attack your queen, you need to place it on this square. That's the key to our whole trick, alright? Very good. You've told me, chess teacher, that if they develop the knight, well, I develop the bishop and all that, but it's happened to me many times that I learn what you say, and then I don't know how to continue because they do something different. Don't worry, just get familiar with the ideas, alright? Not with the exact moves. It might help to memorize them, but it's better to understand the ideas. Therefore, repeatedly watching this video will help your brain to remember it. So what happens if they play d4? The most correct move in this case is to occupy the center, perhaps preparing a bishop on d2 to attack our queen. What do I have to do? Relax, relax, it's very simple. We have our plan to develop both knights and this bishop. Have they developed the knight? No, instead of the bishop, I'll develop one of my two knights first. Which one first? This one, let's go. I develop it to f6. It's that simple. If now they play knight to f3, which is the most common and correct move, well, now I do develop the bishop. If they don't do it, then I don't do it. I develop the knight first so that, if not, I can always place the bishop, for example, on f5. Who knows? Because my plan is to castle long, and I can mix things up a bit, alright? What can white do here? Well, the most logical thing is for them to defend against the pin, and we, as is only logical, will stick to our plan. Simple, right? I place the queen here, develop my two knights, and the bishop in this exact position right here. Alright, white can castle. And now what do I do, chess teacher? Well, what we're gonna do is the following. Do you remember or not? What would we do in this situation? Well, it's very simple. We should always do the same thing, castle long. And what's the idea behind castling long? The idea is to place our rook on the open file, right or not? Very good. Now, several mistakes that the player with the white pieces makes here, and how to avoid them. First of all, I'm gonna take back the castling so you can see the first mistake. If before you castle, they push the pawn forward, threatening your knight, that's a mistake. It's easy to punish, don't worry, very easy to punish. They just got too clever for their own good, and with a long castle, look how easy it is to punish them. Just stick to our plan. That's why this opening is extremely simple. What we're gonna do is attack this pawn with 3 pieces, and they won't be able to defend it. So right now, obviously, they can't take the knight. That would be a huge blunder because they'd lose their queen. As you can see, and as I mentioned earlier, this rook lets us pin, for example, this pawn, and directly attack the queen. I mentioned this to you right in the first variation. Alright, this is a mistake. Yeah, because now they won't be able to defend this pawn anymore. But chess teacher, what if they don't make this mistake and play a different move? That's right, it's possible. Let's suppose, for example, as I was saying, that instead of making this pawn advance, which isn't correct, and now you know how to punish it, they castle, just like I was telling you. What should we do? Yes, they castle. I might repeat myself more than once, but that's actually great because it helps your brain store all the different variations. It's better to repeat it, okay, than to do a lot of work and then not remember anything. Very good. This is a typical mistake I usually see. A common mistake, letting them chase this bishop away again. Why is this a typical mistake? Because we simply win a pawn. Which pawn do we win? This pawn right here. We were threatening something and they didn't notice. Our threat, whether they chase away our bishop or make a random move, is to take this knight that's defending the d4 pawn. And when they recapture, it's as simple as taking the d4 pawn. That's that simple. With this simple maneuver, we've won a pawn. Very good. And what happens if they don't make this mistake either? Because it could also be that they don't make this mistake, chess teacher, and for example, they don't push this pawn, or this other one, but instead play the correct move, bishop to e3. For what purpose? To properly defend the d4 pawn. The real threat, it's fine, because then what we're going to do is something very simple. Break the center with this pawn. See how we already have the rook here opening up lines? They can't capture because they'd lose the queen. You see it? Careful, I've come across this before. I've seen them capture. I've seen them push forward. If they push forward, you already know what we have to do. They'll lose the pawn since they're not threatening our knight because the queen is pinned. So then what do they have to do here? All right, I'm going to show you another mistake they make a lot, and it's won me many games. They usually make a small miscalculation that turns into a big one. They think they can win a free pawn with this capture, taking advantage of the fact that here they're threatening this bishop with 2 pieces and now with 3, and we only have it defended with 1. And if things get complicated, they can play knight takes knight and attack our queen, and in any case, they can capture this bishop with check. But this is a simple miscalculation that we need to know how to take advantage of. It's true that they're attacking this bishop with 2 pieces, and we're only defending it with 1, but with the simple move knight takes knight, what we've achieved is that this bishop is defended again. They can't recapture the knight because they lose the queen, but then when they capture the bishop, we'll capture this bishop as well. And if we count the pieces, look, we've captured a knight and a bishop, and they've only captured a bishop. So they've lost a piece due to a simple miscalculation. Look at how much I enjoy playing this opening. Try it out, and above all, rewatch the video as many times as you need, save it well because you won't be able to find it later. This has happened to me many times. Make sure to save it. For those interested in the chessboard, let me tell you about it. Before I tell you about the board, you should know that you can join the channel's official academy right now, where I upload videos every week, together with Flavia, another excellent instructor. And you also get full access to ChessMind, which is the best app for studying chess. Even though it's paid, if you join the academy, it's included. Everything is included. I'm going to give you a whole week for just €1 or $1, so you can really try it out. I recommend it to you 100%. You'll find it right below in the description. You join the academy, try it out for a week for €1 or $1, and if you like it, you stay. If not, you leave. I'm absolutely sure, completely sure, that you're gonna like it so much, you'll be thrilled to stay. And this really interesting board, the Chessnut Pro, which I really like because I enjoy playing online, but above all, I love playing on a physical board, can be found on the Chessnut website. And as the official sponsor of the channel, what I've managed to get for you is a discount code. These chess sets are very expensive. That's the truth. These chess sets are very expensive because they have technology, they're handmade, and they're top quality, first rate. You can play online and you can barely tell it's an online board. But of course, my discount is really going to help you out with the discount code, which is ChessTeacher, all right? I'll also leave it for you down below in the description. Okay? ChessNet has more affordable models that might suit your needs really well. Luckily, we have a discount code for all the items in the store, so if you want to check out the ChessNet website, which I'll also leave for you down below in the description, or just by searching for the one you like, this one is the Chessnut Pro. All you have to do is enter the discount code ChssTher, and that's it. You'll get a discount, all right? I recommend it to you 100%. I've been working with this brand for a couple years now, and it's truly one of a kind. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I especially hope to see you inside the academy, my friends. Hey, because there you'll have direct contact with me. What could be better than having direct contact with me and being able to talk to me every day? What do you think? I hope you loved it, and I'll see you tomorrow, as always, friends, in the next video. Goodbye.